after tonight, there will be one race left in the NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series. And I don't even know what else you can really say to describe the feeling. But it is going to be one hell of a fight here tonight at the Phoenix International Raceway for the running of the Fastenal 500. As always, I'm Elijah Leonard here with you to bring the action from here at the Phoenix International Raceway for the 22nd race of the NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series. I don't know what else you can really say that would actually describe the feeling that we've got here as we're getting ready to do battle for 156 laps to determine what the championship picture is going to look like heading to Homestead, Miami this Saturday, November the 9th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Hopefully you guys are able to tune into that championship season finale race. But before we get to that point, we got to get past here tonight. This race was originally supposed to be run yesterday at 1 o'clock, but Fortnite came out with a brand new season, and I was grinding that pretty much all day and all night for the most part. But we're getting ready to go here at the Phoenix International Raceway. If you missed the action last week, we had gone to the Texas Motor Speedway where John Andrews wound up having a lot of some issues on pit road with after having a little scuffle with Rogel Dorn as Andrews was trying to get out of his pit box and Dorn was trying to get in all at the same time, and unfortunately that knocked out John Andrews from the race, so his point lead has dwindled by a decent amount, and we'll take a look at those point standings in just a little bit. But at the end of that race, it was Roberto Crown Jr. who nabbed his first NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series win and marks this as a new winner of the McDonald's Cup Series season. We have a variety of different I don't even know what I'm saying anymore because I'm absolutely stuttering. But there's a lot of different winners that we have here throughout this season, and we've had such an amazing year, and we're getting to add just a little bit more before the finale this Saturday. Let's go ahead and take a look at your point standings after Texas. So as you can see here, John Andrews only got 1 point from that race from Texas. Tyler Belladonna, Edson Hernandez, both tied with 467 points. Belladonna right now, coming into this race, he starts just inside of the top 10. So he has a pretty good chance of basically closing in the gap between him and John Andrews. But he also has to hope and pray that Andrews doesn't have a good race whatsoever. And that is a possibility since Andrews might potentially be starting in the back. But Andrews, 522 points to his name. Belladonna, Hernandez, 467. Obviously, Belladonna breaks the tie with his win, with the 2 wins that he has here and at Pocono earlier this year. Skylar Taylor, currently 4th with 439 points to their name. Will Parrish, 437. Chad Gronkowski with 432. Then Michael Young, who had himself a pretty good night at Texas last Saturday. He wounds up with 430 points to his name. Then we have Terry Walker and Rogel Dorn both tied with Terry Walker, breaking the tie due to not Microsoft Excel physics, but Google Sheets physics. And then Rogel Dorn would be 9th, and then Val Moscow completes the top 10, showing him back. I am so sorry. I can't even speak because I don't even know. But Val Moscow completes the top 10 for the first time in quite a while with 406 points to his name. Let's take a look at the rest of your points right there. There's John Felber just outside of the top 10. Then there's Stephen Colon. There's Roberto Crown Jr., who is pretty deep in the point standings. But with that win at Texas, it moves him up to 16th in the standings. Crown has had himself a pretty quiet yet somewhat consistent season for the number 50 in the number 51, but he's really turned up the volume, especially at Texas last weekend. So it's this is actually going to be pretty fun to watch to see what exactly Roberto Crown Jr. is going to have in the tank once we close out this season. See if he can finish off the year strong. There are other drivers that ended up having some pretty good runs, I might say. Derek Hamill, who ended up finishing second to the number 51 of Crown. He's up to 22nd in the points standings. And then there's a few other drivers. Unfortunately, BB Haynes, he had himself a good race at Texas to open up the night, but unfortunately, he had a pretty good, he had a good race at Texas, but unfortunately, the ending to the event was not the type of ending to the race that BB Haynes was looking for. Didn't get a good finish whatsoever, got involved in a wreck late in the going, and that's what set him back quite a ways. And he didn't have a good pumpkin 250 whatsoever, unfortunately getting taken out in a wreck with 10 laps to go. Definitely not something that BB Haynes is too fond of whatsoever, but just looking to end off the season, get it done, get it over with, so that way we can move on to the next thing of operation, to the next part of festivities, if you will, and that most likely would have to be the Christmas 300, which would take place, obviously, on the 23rd of December. But that's a little ways away from now. Let's go ahead and take a look at your starting lineup heading into tonight's race at the Phoenix International Raceway. Of course, we have Alex Sanavitali sitting on the pole with Josh Lee lining up on the outside. Michael DeFeo starting in the second position with John Felber. Michael DeFeo starting third, with John Felber making up row number 2. Matthew Hubert, Casey Wells make up the third row. Then we have Alex Rampus, Bryce Egan, our Chicagoland winner, and then Rogel Dorn, Tyler Belladonna. Again, another key component to this championship fight is Tyler Belladonna, since he is second in the standings and is starting 10th in this race. John Andrews, of course, nowhere to be found here in this top 28 if you were to look around. So there is a pretty decent chance that Belladonna could close the gap just a little bit more and get within striking distance of winning the championship, or at least putting up a good fight for the championship against John Andrews when we get to Miami this coming Saturday. So it is going to be very interesting to see how this race plays out. Then take a look at the rest of your starting lineup. We've got Derek Hamill. We got Daniel Adams. We have Jeremiah Simpson, not Jessica Simpson. Wrong Simpson, my bad. PJ Vidal, Roberto Crown Jr. We also have Colin Block, Bob Floyd, Dale Johnson II, Wyatt Walker, Val Moscow completing the top 20, along with Chad Gronkowski, Zachary Fitzwater, Tatiana Noguera, Damian Kyle Wood, Nathan Stapleton, as well as the 18 of Michael Young, Sammy Cars, Terry Walker. Then starting in the 29th position, that's BB Haynes. Kyler Sustry completing the top 30 with Stephen Colon, Matt Jones, Will Parrish, Ryan Durrani, John Andrews. There's our championship leader starting 35th in this race. This will also be interesting to see how he's going to play out this 156 lapper from starting all the way into the back. If he's going to be able to lock up this championship before Homestead Miami, he's got to perform in this race, and he absolutely has to make sure that neither Edson Hernandez and Tyler Belladonna, who, remember, they're both tied, by the way. They're both tied for second in the standings. But either way, Andrews has got to hope and pray that he can actually play his cards right so we can get up to the front and secure a good enough position and have the right amount of points to walk away with the championship before Miami. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Then we have Sebastian Palmer, Travis Crampton, Avon Murray, Edson Hernandez, Skylar Taylor, and then our provisional starters, it's Nia Steidel in car number 41, lining up in position number 41, and then Mitchell O'Brien starts in the caboose. I don't even know where else to really go with this, but crap is about to hit the fan here tonight at the Phoenix International Raceway, and it's been such a wild ride leading up to this point, and we're getting ready to figure out just exactly what the picture is going to look like when we get to Miami. It's been a fun season. Only 2 races left. After tonight, there will be one more event to go this Saturday at the Homestead Miami Speedway. It's going to be fun. And tonight's going to be fun. 156 laps around Phoenix International Raceway. With that said, the drivers are strapped into their cars. Pre-race ceremonies are just now starting to wrap up, but in order to get these 42 drivers rolling out on the racetrack, we got to get the command to fire these engines. So let's go trackside and get the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
And there it is. Engines are fired. Pace cars rolling off. And so are these 42 competitors. Remember, these drivers were here at the beginning of the season back in February for our second race of the season. Now we're here for our penultimate race on the 2024 season. Getting ready to figure out just exactly what this picture is going to look like when we get to Miami between John Andrews, Edson Hernandez, even Tyler Belladonna, the 3 key championship contenders coming in here to tonight's event. Pace cars on pit road. This puts the field into the hands of the number 26 of Alex Sanvitali and the number 34 of Josh Lee to bring them on down to get this race started. Here we go. Three wide there for second. That's Matthew Hubert on the bottom. DeFeo in the middle. Josh Lee up on the third line. This is all good news for Alex Sanvitali, who breaks out with the advantage, and he's going to lead lap number 1 here at Phoenix. Starting to pull away by just about a third of a second behind DeFeo, well, in front of DeFeo and Josh Lee, who are both fighting side by side here for second. DeFeo's going to win that fight. Now it's Hubert's turn to go at it for third. Here comes Rogel Dorn to the inside of both Alex Rampus and John Felber. 3 wide here. Looks like that's for the 6th position. Casey Wells, who started just inside of the top 10, still inside of the top 10, fell all the way back to what looks to be the number 10th position from the 7th spot. As they work their way off of turn number 4 down the back straightaway once again. They start to get back into double file formation until you get back over to where BB Haynes is at. Almost 3 wide. They are actually going to go 3 wide. That's PJ Vidal in the 13. To the inside of BB Haynes, number 95, number 36, we're looking at right there. That's Chad Gronkowski, who won at Talladega and at Michigan earlier in the season in very dramatic side-by-side fashion, edging out 2 competitors to get those wins. And almost, I was about to say it came pretty close at Watkins Glen, but I'm thinking to a test race that I did. But it was Zachary Fitzwater right here who went on to win that Watkins Glen event, currently sitting in the 18th position, trying to do everything he can and maybe try to see if he can get himself a good position to where he can ride comfortably here in this pack. But we look further up at the front of the field. There's the number 47 and Derek Hamill, who has absolutely turned up the volume here in the late stages of this season. He's already moved up into the 6th position, and just a little bit behind, and a little ways behind him is the number 51 of Roberto Crown Jr., our last week's winner at Texas. Now trying to go 2 for 2 here in the McDonald's Cup Series. Sanvitali continues to lead. He's led the opening 6 laps here to this event. Michael DeFeo has settled in the 2nd position with Matthew Hubert in 3rd. Then sitting in 4th is the number 1 of Rogel Dorn. Alex Rampus completes the top 5. And it's all pretty much chilled out in single file until you get over here to Crown and Felber. Felber currently being scored 10th. Now knocking on the door of the 8th position. And right behind them is the number 4 of Tyler Belladonna. Again, who comes into this race second in the points standings. Officially second in points. Since he does break the tie over Edson Hernandez with his 2 wins that he has right here at Phoenix earlier in the season, back in February, and then as well as Pocono in the summer. A Belladonna falling back to the 10th position. Not a big problem after all. As he moves low on Crown. Meanwhile, fight for third is on. There's the number 1 of Rogel Dorn getting around the 20, or at least attempting to get around the 23 of Matthew Hubert. He's got to just barely get it across the stripe this time around. But will he be able to get that third position completely clear of the 23? That answer is yes. And now Hubert falls into the clutches of Alex Rampus. Rampus trying to take a peek down low, but isn't going to have the run necessary, at least the good drive off of corner exit, to get that run to pass or to get around the 23 to move up inside of the top 4, I should say. Coming around to complete 11 laps. Again, Saad Vitali has led every single lap thus far since the drop of the green flag, if you're just now tuning in. And we might have ourselves another fight with third place, and they're crashing in the back off of turn number 4. You just heard the tires screeching and everything, and they're crashing again with Crampton getting turned up into the outside wall. But that's not what brought out the caution flag. Tatiana Noguera in the 21 with a lot of damage. The pace car apparently having a little issue there. I'm not sure why, but that was actually kind of interesting. But Tatiana Noguera with a little bit of damage to her number 21 machine. It's a little bit of moderate damage, so I'm pretty sure they're going to be okay to continue on. There's Jeremiah Simpson in the number 20 with some damage. So our first caution of the evening is out, and it comes out on lap number 12. Everybody coming on down, taking 4 tires and fuel. Only 3 cars wound up staying out. That would be the 26 of San Vitali, the 40 of Michael DeFeo, and the 1 of Rogel Dorn. Those are our 3 drivers that wound up staying out. Now let's see who's going to win this race coming out of the pits. That's going to be Matthew Hubert, who wins the race coming off of pit road. Alex Rampus, coming out second. Derek Hamill third. Josh Lee comes out fourth. Then it will be John Felber, followed by Tyler Belladonna, Roberto Crown Jr., Casey Wells, Zachary Fitzwater, and I would believe Bryce Egan was the 10th driver to come out of the pits. But race leader will now be Matthew Hubert, as the top 3 that stayed on the racetrack, they are all 3 coming down to pit road. So they're going to be well in the back. So unfortunately, they're not going to be right where they were at the beginning of the event. But Matthew Hubert is going to assume the race lead, as we're going to go back and take a look and see what happened to Tatiana Noguera and whoever else was involved that brought out our first yellow flag of the evening here at the Phoenix International Raceway. And yes, I would have to believe so. That's what happened. That is exactly what happened. So, this is down the back straightaway, going through turns 3 and 4. Watch what happens here. Jeremiah Simpson's going to make a move on the number 55 of Daniel Adams. And it looks like here, going into turn 3, Tatiana Noguera gets into the back of Simpson, sends him around, and then right up into the outside wall go both cars. This is a very strange, kind of a strange crash. I've never seen quite anything like it. Then right here, there's Colin Block getting some damage, who then comes down into Sebastian Palmer, and then sends him right into Travis Crampton, who noses the outside retaining barrier coming off of turn number 4, just shy of the start-finish line. So this is a very somewhat strange way to start off the Fastenal 500 here at the Phoenix International Raceway. That was kind of interesting, if I may say. Let's go back and look at this at real time. Starting off with the number 21 of Nogueira and the number 20 of Jeremiah Simpson heading down into turn 3. And yeah, that's just really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that to start off this race. And then this right here, especially for Crampton, who's just minding his own business. He was doing such a great job, and unfortunately, he just got absolutely blindsided. Not much he could really do there, so definitely a tough break for Travis Crampton here in this number 22. But he doesn't have a whole lot of damage. Looks like it's just a small buckle, so he should be 100% good to continue on here at Phoenix. So now we are resuming back to live action. What's going on, Jessica? How we doing? Hope your Sunday night's been going pretty well. We're under our first caution flag of the night. For those that are just now tuning in, it involved the number 21 of Tatiana Nogueira as well as the 20 of Jeremiah Simpson. Nogueira made some contact with Jeremiah Simpson, which, in my honest opinion, I think Nogueira was just trying to stay tucked in behind the number 20 heading into turn 3, at least trying to get behind him so that way she could cover the bottom, but unfortunately just didn't quite execute that move correctly and ended up taking out Simpson as well as themselves, but also involved, at least in another incident, was the 98 of Colin Block, Sebastian, who came down into Sebastian Palmer and then eventually got into Travis Crampton. Crampton still is continuing on the racetrack, but it's still going to be somewhat unknown of what the condition of this number 22 is going to be like. So we're just going to have to watch this number 22 once we go back green as well. And there's just more trouble here for the number 3. That is Mitchell O'Brien, who's been sitting on pit road for quite some time. Unfortunately, his the troubles look to be continuing here from Mitchell O'Brien. He started this race in the caboose, and unfortunately, this is exactly where he's going to be until he gets back on the lead lap. Field has just taken 1 to go here at the Phoenix International Raceway for our 22nd race of the season. After tonight, there'll be one final race to go at the Homestead Miami Speedway this coming Saturday night. Hopefully you all are able to tune into that one right here on Twitch. Will be posted the next day onto YouTube. Your top 10 coming back to green. It is Matthew Hubert that's going to bring him on down to the restart, with Alex Rampus in second, Derek Hamill third, Josh Lee will be fourth, then John Felber completing the top 5 with Tyler Belladonna sixth, then Roberto Crown Jr. 7th, Casey Wells 8th, Zachary Fitzwater 9th, and then Bryce Egan will round out the top 10 when we go back to green right about now. And here we go. Hubert brings them back down to the restart. Hubert with a good jump. Mitchell O'Brien trying to do everything he can to hang with the leaders. He did come out of the pits 1 lap down, so he still has an opportunity to get back onto the lead lap. There's no damage in this number 3, so he's 100% good to go. But I will also tell you this, if O'Brien does not get back on the lead lap, if he's not able to, he could still play a pretty good spoiler to anybody's party when it comes to the point standings, even in the top 3, like Tyler Belladonna, for instance. Still running in the 6th position is the number 4 machine, trying to get around the number 16 of John Felber to move his way up inside of the top 5. Let's go ahead and check in on John Andrews right over here. See where he's running right now. Currently scored in the 28th position. which is actually going to be rather interesting because right now, again, Belladonna, he just moved up instead of the top 5. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do a little bit of math here because if you were to finish in the 5th position, in this case for, oh, hold up, wait just a minute. We're currently 4 wide. Bob Floyd on the bottom with Stephen Colon in the middle. Fitzy up top. You had Roberto Crown Jr. on that extreme high side. But it looks like Bob Floyd making some moves right out of the gate. Floyd getting very aggressive here within on the lap 20 mark here at Phoenix. And they're getting really racy over here. Let's focus on this for a moment. Roberto Crown Jr. now in the middle of a 3 wide situation. Wyatt Walker trying to do everything he can to muscle his way up towards the front of the field to get inside of the top 10. Daniel Adams tried to make some form of a move. Unfortunately, it was not able to stick. So now they settle it back down to double file. And it looks like this 3 wide scenario that a lot of these drivers are finding themselves in is kind of working its way towards the back of the pack. It's kind of like a chill going up your spine, except it's a 3 wide scenario going from the front of the field all the way to the back. But focusing back in here on this championship picture, if you were to finish, well, now Belladonna has fallen all the way back to 7th. He's going to fall back just a little bit more to 8th. Since he is trapped on the outside. See where John Andrews is currently running. He's currently fallen all the way. We're now up to 25th, so Andrews is starting to make up some ground here. So for Andrews' case, if memory does serve me correctly, if you were to finish 25th, you would get 11 points. And he currently comes in with 522. So if you were to finish in 25th with 11 points, you'd obviously get 533. Tyler Belladonna currently has 467 points. So if you, this again, keep in mind, this is if you don't take in how many laps were led, or the bonus points for leading the most laps, or even winning. You don't account for those, right? Because neither of them have currently led any laps thus far. So Belladonna came into this race with 467 points. And right now he's currently running 10th. And you would get 37 points for finishing in 10th. That'd be 504 if this race were to end right now. So that would mean there'd be a 29-point difference between Tyler Belladonna and John Andrews. So this obviously does mean Andrews is really going to have to step up the pace if he's going to maintain that gap going into Miami in order to lock up the championship. This is going to be some interesting day here at Phoenix. 25 laps complete. Matthew Hubert has led ever since the restart, now getting around the 98 of Colin Block, who is well off the pace to put him 1 lap down. Derek Hamill still sitting in 2nd. John Felber now 3rd. With Rampus 4th. Casey Wells completing the top 5. And then you have Josh Lee in 6th. Bob Floyd 7th. Again, having another strong performance here today at Phoenix. Then you have Stephen Colon, Roberto Crown Jr., and the 5 of Bryce Egan. Tyler Belladonna, who was as high as 5th at one point, is now starting to drop like a rock, currently sitting in the 11th spot. Where's Andrews, you ask? Well, still gaining positions. Remember, started 35th in this race, and within the first 27 laps, he's moved his way up to 23rd. So Andrews is putting on the drive of the century in order to keep his hopes of locking this championship up before Homestead. A live crash in front of the leaders. I was holding my breath for a second. Andrews gets a little bit of damage and they're stacking him up. Going into turn number 3. Sorry if I wasn't saying anything. I was just holding my breath, seeing what the scenario was going to look like. But the caution flag is out here on lap number 29. my brain was having a hard time processing what in the world just happened. Terry Walker with a ton of damage to his race machine. He's most likely going to be out of it. Chad Gronkowski, lots of damage to his car. He'll be done for the day here at Phoenix. And there was a ton of other drivers that were collected. I believe Edson Hernandez might have gotten involved, but I'm not 100% sure. We're going to have to go back and look at replays. But John Andrews, I believe, might have had just a tiny bit of damage on his machine. But other than that, nothing too major to affect him from getting eliminated from this race, so he should 100% be still good to go. He's fine. Race off pit road. Let's see who that was won by. Of course, Matthew Hubert. He wins the race coming out of the pits. Derek Hamill will come out second. Rampus comes out third with Casey Wells fourth. Stephen Colon coming out in fifth with Roberto Crown Jr. sixth. Bryce Egan seventh. Wyatt Walker coming out in the 8th spot, coming up and getting inside of the top 10 for the first time today. Oh no, excuse me. It would be Josh Lee who came out 8th. Then Wyatt Walker 9th, and John Felber will complete the top 10. Now let's review that crash, because I don't even know what even just because I was too focused on the potential run that Andrews could put together here just in order to keep his championship hopes alive. Not even at all. Like, that whole time that we were just looking at John Andrews, I was holding my breath and just in a daze, just trying to absolutely figure out the words to really describe what was going on. But we're going to take a look at a replay right here. Start looking at Colin Block in the 98. Remember, he was way off the pace. So everybody just trying to get by him. And I think he does. Actually, no, it looks like Zachary Fitzwater comes up and gets into the left rear quarter panel of the number 98 machine and sends him down into the inside wall right about here. And then this is where the damage. This is where it was just on. Fitzy comes back up into Dale Johnson, who then goes sideways in front of Will Parrish. Then Matt Jones gets collected. Then Michael Young. There's where Chad Gronkowski got involved. Nia Steidel, great job by her up until she got into the back of the 48 of Terry Walker, which sent him right into Matt Jones. And then BB Hange, there's Edson Hernandez, who did get involved. Another driver who is a championship contender. Come Homestead, possibly. We'll see what happens, but just so much happening that started on the back straightaway that was heading into turn number 3. And we're obviously going to have some drivers eliminated from this race, Zachary Fitzwater being one of them. And then I believe Chad Gronkowski ended up getting more damage. I'm not 100% sure where he got it from. He might have gotten it from right here. Yeah, right here. This is where he got it from. Because I believe something happens here. Oh, he just blows up here. He just blows up, and then he's trying to get out of the way, so he pulls down low. Sebastian Palmer, who's also trying to get by the 30 of Avon Murray, gets into the back of the 36, and then sends him into both Palmer and Rogel Dorn just past the start-finish line. But thankfully, with the usage of Rogel Dorn, Chad Gronkowski was able to get himself right for about 2 seconds before going sideways yet again, but not enough to get him completely sideways to where it would take him a minute to get him recentered and refired. But man, there's just so much that just unfolded right in front of us to bring out our second yellow flag of the evening here at Phoenix. Let's go ahead and take a look at that, this time in real time. Just, I don't even know what you could say to that. Like, look at this. Look at John Andrews right here. There's so much happening around him. He just barely gets tagged, but still continues on. Steidel has a little bit of damage to her car, but she'll more than likely be fine. Same goes for Edson Hernandez, BB Hange, and then a few other drivers, but not drivers like Chad Gronkowski or even Terry Walker. I'm not sure about Matt Jones or anybody else, but Zachary Fitzwater for sure is done in number 23 machine, as we're going to resume live action here from Phoenix, and more than likely we're going to have a multitude of retirees, starting with the number 48 of Terry Walker. Walker goes behind the wall along with Chad Gronkowski in the number 36. Zachary Fitzwater has now joined Walker and Gronkowski in the garage area. I wonder if Matt Jones would also be making his way to the garage area. Let's see what happens here, and it looks like he's going to be able to continue. Going to get the damage surveyed here on this number 78, see if he's going to be able to be good to go to continue on and see what kind of speed is left in that number 78. Definitely not going to be on pace with the leaders, but for sure he'll be at a pace where, well, it might be a little bit eventful for these other drivers that have no damage on their cars and they're perfectly clean. It'll be tough for them to navigate their way through the slower traffic. So that's going to be something to watch here, especially in the closing stages here in Phoenix. Let's see what the status is going to look like here, coming to 1 to go. With 31 laps complete, they'll be restarting on lap 33. With 32 complete. So to recap your top 10, coming to the restart, it will be Matthew Hubert, followed by Derek Hamill. Alex Rampus will be third. Casey Wells fourth. Stephen Colon completes the top 5. With Roberto Crown Jr. 6th, Bryce Egan 7th. Then the number 34 of Josh Lee 8th, Wyatt Walker 9th, John Felber completing the top 10 here as we come to the restart. Remember, Colin Block, Mitchell O'Brien, those are the two drivers that are 1 lap down, at least a lap down, so they're lining up on the inside. They're the only 2 cars that are currently shown as 1 lap down. Let's see if we can get a good, decent green flag run going. Green flag is back in the air right now. And Hubert and Derek Hamill both get off to a really good start. They fire off from the number 32 of Alex Rampus and start to check out from him. Rampus got just as good of a restart, but not enough to keep up with these front 2. As now it's going to be a little bit interesting to see how this shakes up. Jones back on pit road as everybody is still trying to navigate their way around Colin Block in this number 98 machine. This is going to get a little bit dicey here as he's holding up PJ Vidal and also John Andrews. Everybody just taking evasive action and just going as absolutely wide as possible to get by this 98. It looks like they're going to get around it with no issue whatsoever. So we 100% are staying green. Meanwhile, Rampus has taken second away from Derek Hamill. So Hamill moves back to third. Stephen Colon in a side-by-side fight here for the 5th position. That's Bryce Egan in the 5, trying to go for his 2nd win on the season before the year is over. Moving up inside of the top 5 from his teammate Stephen Colon. I have Roberto Crown Jr. in tow, trying to fight for that 6th position. So far, he had it across the line. Let's see if he's able to clear the number 24, heading back through turns 1 and 2. Pretty much a success right there. Heading back into turn 3. So far, top 6 are all single file until you get over here with Matt Jones or Mitchell O'Brien and Stephen Colon. Excuse me. Both of them are fighting, obviously side by side on the track, obviously not for position. Right here is for position. That's Daniel Adams in the 55, getting by the 4 of Tyler Belladonna, now getting passed by the 99 of Wyatt Walker. And Nathan Stapleton is in tow in the number 42. Stapleton is another driver that just has not had the best of seasons here in the McDonald's Cup Series. It's just been, unfortunately, I'd have to say it's absolutely abysmal, but for Stapleton to be up here, he has a pretty decent, if he's able to find himself back up in this position by the time this race is said and done, it would be such a miracle to see him in victory lane at least one time before this season is said and done. So Wyatt Walker gets by the number 4 Tyler Belladonna. This is to move him inside of the top 10. And Daniel Adams in the 55. There's something to note about Daniel Adams. This is another driver who's had such an absolutely who's had an absolutely I don't even know how else to put it, but he's another driver who has absolutely struggled this season. And I mean struggled. He's had some good races. He's had moments where he's been under the spotlight, and he has definitely made the best of it. But unfortunately, there would always be something that would just, unfortunately, not get him the results that he absolutely deserves. Whether it be the Daytona 500, where he ended up having some form of an issue, and he just kept coming back to pit road because of it. Or even if he got a good qualifying run and started running up front for a good portion of the race, then gets taken out of the crash. Or a bad qualifying run. Just so many variables where it just unfortunately saw Daniel Adams just struggle this year. Nathan Stapleton, another one. But for Daniel Adams, this would be absolutely huge if he could get a win this season before it's all said and done. There's a lot of drivers that would want to get their first win before the year's over. Wyatt Walker being one of them. His dad, Terry, wound up winning at Nashville back in June. Now trying to go for his first McDonald's Cup Series win. He's been racing in the McDonald's Cup Series ever since, I want to say, 2016, 2017. Back when we had at least 4 to 5 races within a 26 race season before we ended up getting shut down and burnt out. But doing these live have definitely 100% saved my love for calling these races, I will tell you that. But as far as this season goes, Walker is another driver who has somewhat struggled, but hung up there with the race leaders, at least hanging tough so far this season. Had somewhat of an up and down kind of 2024 year as far as the McDonald's Cup Series goes. Came close to winning Darlington a couple of times, well, at least once, after taking the race lead away from PJ Vidal, but Vidal ended up taking the lead back, and then crap hit the fan after we got to the halfway point, after we got past the halfway mark. So definitely a lot of things that to watch out for, especially today, especially in tonight's event, since Walker is in a perfect position to where he could get himself a good finish, maybe even a win if he's in that spot. What's going on, Reaper? How we doing? That wall ride was actually kind of interesting as far as real life stuff, but focusing back in, 45 laps complete. Matthew Hubert has led every single lap since the restart, but obviously not every single lap in this race, but nonetheless, Hubert continues to lead. He's another driver that has been in a position to win a couple of times this year, Darlington being one of those. Martinsville a couple weeks ago was another one. Back at the beginning of last month, October, he had himself a pretty decent opportunity to get his first career McDonald's Cup Series win, but unfortunately just was not able to seal the deal just because of other variables. But tonight could be his night where he could go to victory lane. There's a lot of drivers that are very, very capable of winning this race. So, but we only have at least 110, just under 110 laps to go. So although it doesn't feel like there's a lot of time left in this race, there's still a really decent ways to go and a lot of laps to be logged here. So these drivers have still got time. We're still running this race, kind of just somewhat of a consistent green flag run. We got a decent green flag run in here. See here, a battle for 10th. That's Tyler Belladonna getting by the Stephen Colon. Sammy Carr's in tow. Another driver who has just absolutely had a struggling season. Hasn't really had a whole lot of moments under the spotlight, but here he is tonight. Running in 12th. Now going for 11th on Cologne, followed by Kyler Sustry in the number 11 machine. Now, this is not too much of an achievement here for Kyler Sustry, at least not a fun one, I would say Sustry is proud of, but he was the first driver to bring out the first caution of the season here in the McDonald's Cup Series, and of all places, right here in Phoenix. Ironically enough, Sammy Carr's was in the same incident that Sustry was involved in the first ever yellow flag of the year. Something that neither driver would be 100% proud of when it comes to that little achievement, if you will, but I really wouldn't consider it much of an achievement at all. But that's just my opinion, but I will rest my case on that. 51 complete. As all these drivers are absolutely just trying to do everything they can to just choo-choo their way around the 98 of Colin Block, who's well off the pace. I believe he's going yet another lap down. This is now 4 laps down here for the number 98. At least 3, actually. Unfortunately, Matt Jones has made multiple upon multiple trips to pit road. He is now 13 laps down. Unfortunately, Nia Seidel was another driver who is also making trip upon trip upon trip upon trip to pit road, especially after a great run at another racetrack back. I want to say it was I can't even remember. I honestly can't remember. It was the track before Kansas. It's already blanking out on me, so I can't 100% really remember off the top of my head. I'm gonna go back and look at the playlist. Maybe that's gonna actually tell me. But I know she ran really well one race, and then absolutely struggled the next, just because she made a lot of trips onto pit road. It actually might have been. Yeah, no, it actually was Kansas. I believe it was. Yeah, I think she performed really well at Darlington and then made trip upon trip upon trip to pit road at Kansas, and that's what set her back quite a ways, but here she is tonight, currently running, let's see, in the 29th position. Still not faring too well, but at least she's still in this race, still putting up a pretty good fight. And who knows, probably by the end of this thing, she might wound up with a checker flag in her hands. We're just going to have to find out. So now the gap between the top two has grown just a little bit more. It's now 2/3 between Alex Rampus and the number 5, third place runner Bryce Egan. Crown and Hamill going at it. This is for the 5th position. Remember, these are the 2 drivers that ended up finishing 1-2 at Texas last week. But John Felber in tow, along with Daniel Adams and Wyatt Walker. Remember, all those drivers are on the lead lap, just inside of the top 10. We also have Tyler Belladonna in the 4, who's getting contested by the number 43 of Sammy Carr's. This is for the 10th spot. See what this fight looks like coming off of turn 4, back to the start-finish line. It will be Sammy Carr's who gets that spot. How about 3 wide here between Cologne, Carr's, and Belladonna? Meanwhile, 3 wide up here. This is all after Matt Jones came back up on the track. They were Felber, Crown, and Hamill were all 3 abreast. But with Jones coming to pit road, that kind of just shook the whole thing up and slowed some drivers down, and it caused a slight stack-up effect, but not enough to really do any sort of damage at all to any of these drivers. But 3 wide here once again. Belladonna in the middle. Sustry bottom. Cars up top. In the number 43. Coming around to complete 60 laps here at the Phoenix International Raceway. If you're just now tuning in, we're finally getting a somewhat of a decent green flag run in. Matthew Huber continuing to show the way with Rampus second. Bryce Egan third, Casey Wells fourth, Roberto Crown Jr. the top 5. We went back green after our second caution flag back on lap 33, and we have been clean and green pretty much ever since then. And we have only had, at least 3 retirees. That would be Chad Gronkowski, the 48 of Terry Walker, and then Zachary Fitzwater. Unfortunately, those 3 cars are behind the wall. Tatiana Noguera is 1 lap down, along with Mitchell O'Brien, who's still hanging with these leaders, at least trying to do everything he can to stay within striking distance to get back on the lead lap. At least try to be the first car 1 lap down. Actually, he's 2 laps down. So I am very much so mistaken. Colin Block 3 laps down, and Matt Jones, you might wonder, why is he 19 laps down, you ask? Well, this is exactly what he's been doing pretty much all the way up to this point. Trip upon trip upon trip to pit road, and he's getting ready to make yet another one. And this is what's going to put him 20 laps down and more if he keeps doing this for the rest of the race. So that is exactly what Matt Jones has been doing ever since he sustained the amount of damage that he had. There'll be 92 laps to go here at Phoenix. Apparently the pace car is the most appealing thing here going on in this event. And we're closing in on Tatiana Noguera to put them yet another lap down. Remember, Noguera is the first and currently only car 1 lap down right now. And if Hubert gets by this 21, that'll be 2 cars 2 laps down. Obviously, Noguera would be the first car 2 laps down, but it's not too much of a crowning achievement, though. And it doesn't really help your case when it comes to trying to get back on the lead lap. Fight for third may potentially be on here between Casey Wells and Bryce Egan. Looked like Wells was going to try to make some form of a charge here on this number 5 machine coming out of turn number 2. Let's see if that's going to be the case here going into turn 1. Looks like Wells pulls up just a little bit, but I think right there, I mean, what balances it out is Egan gets somewhat of a good fire into the corner and beats Wells back to the gas just a little bit faster than the number 7. And that's what's been able to keep the 5 in 3rd place for as long as he's been able to. And with catching up to the number 23, or to the 21, Matthew Hubert is going to have a little bit more company. This time, the 98 of Colin Block back in the picture. Remember, Block, if you're just now tuning in, Colin Block is well off the pace. And he was able to get by pretty easily. Hubert was able to. And everybody else is going to be able to get by Colin Block here as if nothing. As if nothing ever happened. Second place, Alex Rampus trying to get by Tatiana Noguera. being followed by Bryce Egan as well as Casey Wells. Let's take a look further back in the field. Let's go check on our points leader, John Andrews. Where is he at, you ask? 23rd. The last time that we checked on him in 23rd, there was a wreck that happened right in front of him, and he somehow managed to stay alive in it. First car coming down to pit road. It looks like green flag pit stops are just now getting underway. That is BB Hange in the 95, followed by Rogel Dorn here in the number 1. That's our Kansas winner, by the way, and our Daytona 500 winner, not Bryce Egan, excuse me, but the number 95 of BB Hange. Second place comes in, and here comes a good crowd of cars coming on down to pit road. That's being led by Daniel Adams. You got Wyatt Walker in here. You have Tyler Belladonna, Kyler Sustry, Skylar Taylor, and a good portion of these cars are on pit road here on lap number 72. Murray comes in. Race leader Matthew Hubert is in. You see him in the background, that Dr. Pepper number 23. Followed by Bryce Egan. There's Derek Hamill, John Felber. And looks like that's the rest of the field coming on down pit road behind Matthew Hubert. Looks like Casey Wells ended up staying out, so she has control of this race lead. But Wells quickly surrenders it, comes on down to pit road, and brings Roberto Crown Jr. in. So this will officially complete our first official round of green flag pit stops, just 5 laps shy of the halfway point here in the Fastenal 500. And if I'm not mistaken, first place may more than likely go back to the 23 of Matthew Hubert. Let's see what happens here when we cross the stripe this time by. I apologize, had a little bit of a phlegm buildup. Coming off turn 4, back to the start-finish line. I stand corrected. It's Alex Rampus, who more than likely is going to reassume control of this race and go take the race lead away as we close in on the halfway mark in the Fastenal 500 here at Phoenix. Coming around. And that indeed is the case. Rampus leads by about a 1 1/3 second advantage over Matthew Hubert, who is just now getting by the slower traffic of Murray and DK Wood, and is going to try to run down the 32 of Rampus, who holds on to this race lead. Colin Block, Mitchell O'Brien, both have been sitting on pit road for a good while now, so obviously Mitchell O'Brien's hopes and dreams of trying to get back on the lead lap are obviously starting to absolutely crumble before his very eyes. Currently sitting 3 laps down. Colin Block 4 laps down, still way off the pace. More than likely is going to go 5 laps down here very, very shortly. And the gap between the 32 and the 23 grows just a little bit more. It went from a 1.33 second advantage to a 1.51, now to a 1.5 second gap between Rampus and Matthew Hubert as we're coming around to begin the halfway lap here in Phoenix. Gap grows just a little bit more, this time by 2/100ths of a second. Little ways back, the 5 of Bryce Egan has got a lot of company, is bringing a lot of company with him. Daniel Adams, Derek Hamill, and Wyatt Walker, those 4 cars are all on the lead lap, and they're wrapped up under a blanket with the other 2 lappers of Damian Kyle Wood and the 30 of Avon Murray. And all these guys, they're all going to try to chase down Matthew Hubert, who's trying to reel in the 32 of Rampus. Looks like Rampus, the lead went down by about 1/100th of a second. but it might go down just a little bit more this time around. And the gap shrinks a little bit more. Yellow flag back out on the racetrack. This is the third time. And there was a crash that happened. There was a wreck on the back straightaway. Caution flies for the third time. And it looks like Rampus drops to pit road. There's a lot of cars that are coming on down pit road. Race leaders who just recently made their pit stops, they are in. And now, this is actually interesting. Daniel Adams, Derek Hamill, Wyatt Walker, Cologne, Durrani, Wells, Crown, Andrews stays out. This is actually going to be huge for John Andrews. This is absolutely huge. He is going to complete your top 10 under this caution flag. This is bad news for Tyler Belladonna, who again came into this race actually pretty close, decently close to John Andrews in the point standings, a 55-point gap. Now with Andrews currently sitting in 10th, and with Tyler Belladonna coming out of the pits 27th, that is not good news whatsoever. If you're Tyler Belladonna, you have to absolutely be kicking yourself in the gut right now, because the guy that you're trying to beat for the championship actually took a strategy that worked out. No offense to Belladonna, though. Let's go back and look at what in the world happened to bring out our third caution of the night, which is actually kind of interesting. Interesting timing. Okay, so that's what wound up happening. And that's probably why Tyler Belladonna came on down to pit road, as we're going to witness right here. This is the 4 Belladonna trying to get by the 21 of Tatiana Noguera. Looks like a similar scenario. What happened that brought out our second caution. Looks like Belladonna gets into the 21 of Noguera and sends them into the inside wall head on. Just a slight buckle on the hood, so really shouldn't be too much of a problem for Tatiana Noguera to continue on out on the racetrack. But my, oh my, as far as what just happened, the plot has just absolutely thickened, especially as we have just begun the second half of this event. I don't even know what else to say. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick bathroom break, and then I'll be right back, hopefully in time for the restart. Be right back. Just in time. Field, as you can see there, has just taken one to go. We've got a lot more competitors that are lined up on the inside getting ready to take the green flag just at the restart. So, of course, it is Daniel Adams who leads the way with Derek Hamill second, Wyatt Walker third, then Stephen Colon fourth, followed by the 14 of Ryan Durrani, then Casey Wells, Roberto Crown Jr., John Andrews moves up to 8th, then 9th, the number 30, the number 10 of Bob Floyd, and Michael DeFeo rounds out the top 10 here as we restart on lap number 84, green flag back in the air. So now these restarts are going to get just a little bit more interesting now that we have more lappers, because look at this. You barely saw it just on the left-hand side of your screen, but Block did not get off to a good restart whatsoever, and everybody is just taking evasive action pretty much anywhere and everywhere there is room on the track to get by one another, especially the slower cars that do have damage. 4, almost 5 wide, trying to get by the 98 of Block, just keeping an eye on him. And they are, they're so close to wrecking. I thought they were going to be 5 wide coming off of turn number 4. Thankfully, that did not happen. And we're still green here to continue on this race. Meanwhile, closing up at the front of the field, Adams continues to lead the charge with Derek Hamill riding on the tailgate of the 55 for the race lead in the second spot. Walker right there in third. Durrani currently has taken the 4th position away from Stephen Colon and Colon might lose 5th here to Casey Wells if he's not careful. And there's John Andrews in the number 17. Remember, he hasn't led a single lap yet so far in this race, but neither has the number 4 of Tyler Belladonna. Belladonna restarted this race very deep in the pack. Where is he at, you ask? Right now, 18th. Right now in the 18th position. But maybe, just maybe, John Andrews might have enough. If he can stay right around this particular part of the field, maybe, just maybe, Andrews may be able to walk away with this championship after today's race. We'll definitely know for sure once the point standings do come out. So if you are in the NRLOA Discord watching this on YouTube, be sure to keep an eye on that Discord. When the point standings drop, you will know for sure either if John Andrews is going to walk away with the championship before Homestead, or if he's going to have a fight on his hands with Tyler Belladonna when we get to Miami this Saturday. Side by side there, that's for the 7th position between Andrews and Casey Wells. Alex Rampus right there on the back bumper, trying to go for that, what is now going to be the 7th position on Andrews. Crown, Rampus getting into Casey Wells there just a little bit. Is now Hubert, here comes Matthew Hubert in the 23, making a charge down to the inside, cutting the dog leg just a little bit to get an advantage. Gonna get by the number 10 of Bob Floyd to knock him out of the top 10. And how about this? BB Hange in the number 95, who got caught up in a wreck earlier in this race, here finds himself just outside of the top 10, fighting alongside Michael DeFeo for the 12th spot. How about that? Hange trying to close out this season strong so far. He's putting that good track position, I should say, into pretty good use. Heading back down into turn 1. Looks like Wells going to try to get the 8th position back from John Andrews. It looks like that might just happen here coming out of turn number 4 this time around. Let's see what happens. Andrews with the slight edge gets a good fire off of the corner exit. Going to be able to retain that 8th position for just a little bit longer. Stephen Colon under attack from Roberto Crown Jr. That would be for the 4th position. Crown trying to go back-to-back after winning at Texas just last week. It looks like Wells is going to take over the 8th position from John Andrews. Here comes Matthew Hubert, another driver who actually was up front for a good little while before the caution came out. Now moving back up instead of the top 10, getting by John Andrews pretty easily. At least hanging with him. Andrews hanging tough around the outside. Just barely get a good fire off corner exit right about here. Just barely had it over the 23 of Hubert. Alex Rampus getting by what looks like the number 51 of Crown. Rampus trying to get back up to the top spot as now he gets around Crown for 4th. Now trying to get around Ryan Durrani, what looks to be for the 3rd position. Hamill and Stephen Colon fighting side by side. That is for the 6th spot. Hamill just may have it coming out of turn number 2. Let's see what happens. And looks like not too much of a contest there through 1 and 2. Hamill has it, heading back into turn 3. And very much so. He's going to have it across the stripe. Meanwhile, up front, Daniel Adams continuing to hold on to this race lead over Wyatt Walker, who sits in that 2nd position and could be ready to pounce if he gets that opportunity to do so. But so far, he's kept the 55 within striking distance to try to take this race lead away. Back down through turns 1 and 2 they go. Back into 3 and 4. Crown and Durrani fighting for the 4th position. Derek Hamill waiting in the wings. But nonetheless, though, oh, here we go. Wyatt Walker goes way high. That's an opening here for the number 32 of Rampus to get to the inside of the 99. This would be for the 2nd position. If that's the case, if Rampus does get by, which he will right here pretty easily, he's going to be able to set his sights on Daniel Adams and try to take this race lead away, as we are now within the triple digits. 100 laps complete, coming around to complete lap 101. We'll have 55 laps to go here in the Fastenal 500. That's 1 lap closer as we get another lap closer to Homestead, Miami. 1 lap closer to the season finale this coming Saturday to close out the McDonald's Cup Series season. Rampus all over the back bumper of the 55. Going to now take this race lead away. Looks to be in textbook fashion. Here he comes through turn 3. He's got Colin Block in front of him, but might try to use this 98 as a pick, and he will do just that. Meanwhile, Daniel Adams making contact with Wyatt Walker, and they somehow keep it together. Oh, this is close here between Adams and Crown. And they somehow hold on to that. We stay green. I don't even know what to say to that. That was just absolute spectacular driving between Daniel Adams and Wyatt Walker. Hopefully nobody crapped their pants watching that. I'm pretty sure after this race, both Adams and Walker are going to have to... they're going to have to check themselves after this race, because that was wild. That was an absolutely spectacular save between both of these drivers, and they're still going. Walker holds on to second, for at least for the time being, but you also have Roberto Crown Jr., who has been oh so strong, along with Alex Rampus. He's going to go up to, he's going to try to get third, excuse me, and then try to go for second here on Wyatt Walker. Now, if you notice further in the background, look at this picture right here. That's Tyler Belladonna in the 4. He's already worked his way up to 13th. He's gotten by John Andrews, and now he's going to try to set his sights on trying to go get it back inside of the top 10. Maybe try to see if he can lead a lap or two. He's obviously not going to get those bonus points for leading the most laps, but I believe the points that would matter most for Tyler Belladonna is if he goes out and wins this race. That would be the only possible way to get in the best striking distance possible to John Andrews' chances of winning this championship in Miami. Under 50 to go here at the Phoenix International Raceway. Now 49 laps left here in the Fastenal 500. Meanwhile, here comes Josh Lee to the inside. Remember, Lee started second in this race. Now moving back up into the picture, trying to get inside of the top 5. Trying to get by Bryce Egan. And might just be able to do it here. Not quite, actually. Egan barely holds on to that by 2/100ths of a second. Ramp is starting to check out from Wyatt Walker. A little over of a second advantage that he has over the 99. Meanwhile, Roberto Crown Jr. now going to try to get to the inside of the 99 of Walker, heading back into turn 3. Walker had a little bit of a better advantage going into the third corner, and that's how he's been able to at least try to maintain the track position that he currently has. And so far, he's putting it to good use. Actually doing a very, very nice job right now. Now just about a 1.5 second difference between Rampus and Walker. Crown trying to go back-to-back here in the McDonald's Cup Series, something that has never been done, is winning back-to-back races in the McDonald's Cup Series. 46 laps to go. Had a little bit of a phlegm build-up again. My apologies. But now the gap has grown yet again to 1 1/3 seconds. Now 1.77 seconds between Rampus and Walker with 45 laps to go here in the Fastenal 500. Remember, after tonight, one race to go here in the NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series, and that is the season finale at the Homestead Miami Speedway. That race will be held on the 9th of November at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want to catch what the outcome to the 2024 McDonald's Cup Series season may potentially be sure to stick around. Be sure to tune in right here live on Twitch. And if you missed the race, no worries. We got you covered. The full race replay of the championship race at the Homestead Miami Speedway will also be posted on the YouTube the very next day, where it will premiere from flag to flag. Full race. That's going to drop on the very next day. Race coming down to pit road is Wyatt Walker with Daniel Adams, Hubert, Floyd, Hamill. Those are the first 5 cars coming on down to pit road. This will be the final round of green flag pit stops. And this is going to be the money stop. This is where you're going to have to make it all count if you're going to have any shot of winning this race. Rampus stays out. Crown stays out. Durrani does not. Durrani comes in with the number 24 of Stephen Colon, followed by Michael DeFeo. Wyatt Walker making his way out of pit road. He's already got service done to his race machine. He is down and away, along with Floyd, Adams, Hamill. And Matthew Hubert has completed service to his race machine. Leaders are in. Well, at least Crown, Andrews, and as well as the 7 of Casey Wells, they're all in. And it'll only be a matter of seconds before we see race leader Alex Rampus come on down to pit road. Rampus continuing to stay out in this number in the number 32. This is actually kind of interesting because I'm wondering if Rampus is trying to stretch this out as far as he can possibly go to ensure that he'll be good to go, that if he's going to guarantee himself to be good to go on tires and a tank of fuel. Still has not made the move to pit road just yet. With the number 34, Josh Lee, another car that's still out on the racetrack. I do believe Tyler Belladonna did come on down to pit road with Bryce Egan. Michael Young, I believe, is another driver that is yet to come down. I'm not 100% sure on that. We're just going to have to keep watching. Rampus continuing to stay out. Unless if they probably did come on down to pit. I'm not 100% sure. Steidl is in. Savatali, our pole sitter, just got service done to his race machine. He's down and away. Felber is in. And this is actually very, very interesting because now the 32 has a little over, just about a 3.5 second advantage over Josh Lee. Right now, currently, this is the largest margin that we've ever seen here in the McDonald's Cup Series. A 3.5 second lead that Rampus now has over Josh Lee, who now comes on down to pit road. He cannot keep going for much longer. He's in, along with the 18 of Michael Young. Dale Johnson II is in, along with Rogel Dorn. So we should see the 32 of Rampus come on down to pit road this time around. And indeed, that is the case. Rampus comes in, lap 122. Tyler Belladonna. Oh no! Oh no! No way! Belladonna hits the end of the pit wall! No way! Oh no! And just like that, Tyler Belladonna is gonna be out of this race. All because he hit the end of the pit wall. Are you kidding me? That is huge. When it comes to this fight between Andrews and Tyler Belladonna. Belladonna, between him and Hernandez, had the best chance of closing in on John Andrews' championship point lead to get within striking distance when we got to Miami. And that all just changed. And those chances for him just went completely, absolutely out the window after that. Belladonna officially out. Let's see where everybody stacks up here. Looks like Wyatt Walker now has the race lead over Daniel Adams. Closing in on 22, laps to go. Your top 10 now looks like this. Walker the leader. Daniel Adams in second. Then the 23 of Matthew Hubert third. Then fourth is the number 51 of Roberto Crown Jr. Bob Floyd completes the top 5 with Ryan Durrani 6th. Then 7th, Stephen Colon. Then Derek Hamill, Casey Wells, and John Andrews, whom after what just happened with Tyler Belladonna is more than likely, probably most likely, gonna walk away with the championship when we get to Miami. I'm speechless. So it was 30 to go. My bad. My mistake. I don't even know. I don't know what to say. I am just absolutely heartbroken for Tyler Belladonna. He had himself... he put together such an amazing race. And unfortunately, after colliding with the pit wall, after making a late entry to pit road, that is what's going to cost him the championship. And here we go, up front, focusing back in. Fight for the lead is on between Wyatt Walker, Daniel Adams. Still fighting side by side. Walker barely leads that lap over the 55, heading back through turns 1 and 2. Adams looks like he's going to be able to take this race lead away, but not so fast. Walker answering back with a charge on the outside, heading back into the third corner. For 27 laps to go. Adams barely leads it over the 99. Roberto Crown Jr. closing in just by a little bit, 1.69 seconds. Nice, over in the third position. Adams fully clears Wyatt Walker for the top position. For 26 laps to go, Daniel Adams now leads the way officially, just by a little over a quarter of a second. Walker gets kicked back to second. You see Mitchell O'Brien there in the 3, right in the midst of this little fight between these two leaders. Roberto Crown Jr. now trying to get by the 30 of Avon Murray, which then will set him on a clear path to Wyatt Walker and Daniel Adams. That is only if they don't get by Mitchell O'Brien and or Tatiana Nogueira, who they are all three just caught up to. I don't even know what else to say. If you're John Andrews right now, you've got to absolutely be ecstatic over what you just heard over what you might have just heard through the radio. Because this again more than likely means that Andrews, after this race, will have locked up the championship at Miami. Unofficially would have locked up the championship. And for John Andrews, that is something that he would more than likely take within a second, within a heartbeat. I don't even know. Like I said, I don't know any other words I could use to describe that. That absolutely just, that is just, I don't know. That's just so heartbreaking for Tyler Belladonna. Late entry onto pit road, collides with the end of the pit wall, and that will take him out of championship contention here tonight at Phoenix. That is just unreal of what we just witnessed. Closing in, though, on 20 laps to go, Daniel Adams continues to lead over Wyatt Walker. Roberto Crown Jr. closes in just a little bit more, a little under a half a second now between him and second place Wyatt Walker. The gap is now 1.37 seconds. That's relative to the race leader, Daniel Adams. It's a 1.2 second advantage, 1.2 second gap between Walker and Crown, who now gets by Tatiana Nogueira. Mitchell O'Brien was able to successfully get by Sebastian Palmer just a little bit ago, if you might have noticed from this shot right over here just about a lap ago. But 20 laps of racing to go here at the Phoenix International Raceway. We're getting ready to see a good finish here to this one. But it's just because, but again, no, just because Tyler Belladona's out. Remember, Edson Hernandez came into this race tied, but that's obviously more than likely not going to. But Edson Hernandez, more than likely, is definitely not going to have any chance of going after John Andrews for the championship, because we just saw it. 32nd place, one lap down, especially after getting involved in a wreck earlier in this race, back in lap 25 or so. So this is just absolute pandemonium that just went from 0 to 100 really, really, really fast. And we are not going to have any happy campers whatsoever after today. 16, closing in on 16 to go, as both Palmer and Block are in the way of Adams and Walker. Wyatt just barely going to get around the 83 of Sebastian Palmer and the 98 of Colin Block. This is definitely not what Roberto Crown Jr. wanted whatsoever, because he is absolutely closing in just a little over a second. He moves low on Block, who slams the door on the 51. Definitely not something that he wants whatsoever. But Crown going to easily get by the 98. No problems whatsoever. And then from here on, for a good little while longer, the top three should be completely free of traffic. 15 to go this time by. Again, it is Roberto Crown Jr. in third, trying to chase down the top two. That is Wyatt Walker and Daniel Adams, 55 and 99. This is all for the race win. Roberto Crown Jr. trying to go for his second win of the year. Remember, he won at Texas last week. Trying to go back-to-back here to close out the season. John Andrews currently running in the 11th position. That is, and obviously with the knowledge that he has over Tyler, that he has on Tyler Belladonna, and also the 31 of Edson Hernandez, of where he ranks on the racetrack. Running 11th right now is exactly what Andrews needs. Crown, excuse me. If I said clown, I do apologize, but Crown clears traffic and now has a shot at this race win between the 99 of Wyatt Walker and the 55 of Daniel Adams. 12 to go. The gap between the 99 and the 51 shrinks just a little bit more across the stripe. 0.8 of a second between Crown and the race leader Daniel Adams. 2/3 of a second between Walker and Crown. This is going to be one interesting fight for this race win. 3 cars going to be wrapped up under a blanket. Matthew Hubert, 0.8 of a second back, continuing to fight alongside the 14 of Ryan Durrani. This is for the 4th position with Stephen Colon in tow. Alex Rampus just a little ways back, getting passed by the 10 of Bob Floyd. Meanwhile, up front, 10 laps of racing to go here at the Phoenix International Raceway. The 35, the 25, the 55, excuse me, I'm getting numbers completely mixed up. Continuing to show the way with Wyatt Walker right there in second, just a quarter of a second behind. And then 3/4 of a second back is the 51 of Roberto Crown Jr. Durrani was able to get by Matthew Hubert for the 4th position. And he might lose 5th to Stephen Colon if Hubert is not careful. Speaking of, they are fighting side by side for 5th. Colon gonna get by here, no problems whatsoever. 3 wide, a little ways back over here. That's Alex Rampus trying to get by the 10 of Bob Floyd, who is in the middle of a 3 wide scenario with Floyd on the, I'm getting names mixed up again. Rampus on the bottom and Palmer up top. Palmer, another driver who's a little bit ways off the pace, but not too bad. Coming down to 7 laps of racing to go. And Crown is pretty much just pulled up to these two. And he definitely has a strong enough car to pretty much pass both of these drivers if he's able to execute this correctly. Now coming to 6 laps to go this time by, and as they hit the back straightaway. Durrani starting to close in just a little bit more along with the rest of the other drivers behind the top 3, but it might be just too little too late, to be quite honest with you. So it is going to come down to the 55, the 99, and the 51 for this race win. Walker goes a little bit high here. This opens up the door for Roberto Crown Jr. to pull up alongside the 99, heading back into turn 3. Walker's able to retain the position with 5 laps of racing to go. Daniel Adams could be well on his way to his first McDonald's Cup Series win after so many weeks of trying and failing and failing and failing. This is all going to eventually pay off here if he's able to hold on. And with the 51 trying to pass the 99, that is exactly what Daniel Adams needs. As they work their way through turn 1 once again. See what happens here between... Oh, here comes Crown. Crown gets a run down on the inside, trying to get by the 99 of Wyatt Walker. He had a run there going into turn 3. Walker sputters the car just a little bit. But he still continues to get a good run on corner exit with 3 laps of racing to go. Walker trying to hold on to the 2nd position, but he might not be able to do so here as Crown pulls right back up alongside, edges ahead down the back straightaway. And they're still continuing to fight it out here. 2 laps of racing to go this time by. This is exactly what Daniel Adams needed. This is what Adams is loving it to see in his rearview mirror right now. With 2 laps to go, Crown slides up the track. That allows Walker to put the crossover on the 51. But this is it. Coming down to it. They're going to see the white flag fall. And it's Daniel Adams leading. With 1 lap to go. Will he be leading coming back to the checkered flag? Let's find out. Crown trying to go for his 2nd win in a row. Adams trying to go for his 1st. As they work their way off of turn 2, down the back straightaway one last time. This is pretty much it. The deal is sealed. They work their way through turns 3 and 4. Finally, he's gonna do it. Daniel Adams goes to victory lane in the Fastenal 500 in Phoenix. And with a 9th place finish after starting 35th, there is a very strong likelihood that John Andrews will unofficially lock up this championship. And that's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. John Andrews is pretty much going to have a walk-off to the championship at Homestead Miami Speedway. That is absolutely unreal. So, with that said, pretty much as we take a look here at these the math that I'm about to do here. So, if you finish in the 9th position, again, this is not taking into account for leading laps because I'm pretty sure that neither Belladonna or John Andrews led laps. But Andrews came into this race with 522 points. He finishes in the 9th position. You get 38. That gives you 560 points. Tyler Belladonna came in with 467 and unfortunately finishes 38th. Oh my goodness. That just might be enough. He's going to go into Homestead. Andrews is going to go into Homestead with a 92-point advantage. A 92-point gap over Tyler Belladonna. Now in this case, it's going to be Edson Hernandez. Hernandez wound up finishing in 32nd. He also came into this race with 467 points. So, if I'm doing my math correctly here, he would go into Homestead with 472 points. So that's an 88-point gap. That, more than likely, is going to be enough for John Andrews to, for right now, unofficially lock up the championship when we go to Homestead this coming Saturday. So here's a look at your results right here. Daniel Adams is your race winner, with Roberto Crown Jr. in 2nd. Wyatt Walker will finish 3rd. Ryan Durrani 4th. Stephen Colon completes the top 5, with Alex Rampus coming home in 6th. Matthew Hubert 7th. Bob Floyd 8th. John Andrews 9th. A very crucial 9th place finishing position for Andrews. And Michael Young rounds out the top 10. And here's a look at the rest of your results from 11th all the way down to 29th. They all finished on the lead lap. From Nia Seidel, who finished 30th, all the way down to Mitchell O'Brien, they all finished 1 lap down or more. And then you count in Matt Jones, who finished 68 laps down. 1 more than he would have finished 69. Nice laps down. And then Tyler Belladonna, who ended up going out after a very catastrophic moment that wound up eliminating himself from the championship, basically eliminating any chance of getting within striking distance to John Andrews' championship hopes and dreams. All those hopes and dreams that Belladonna had got absolutely shattered here tonight. Chad Gronkowski, Terry Walker, Zachary Fitzwater, those are the other 3 retirees from this race. But man, what a race it has been. Daniel Adams finally coming out of the woodworks after a very, 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 very tough season to get his first win on the year. And hey, even after such a tough year, Adams can definitely say he can walk out as a McDonald's Cup Series winner. Roberto Crown Jr. came close to making history. Unfortunately, just was not able to make the moves early enough to get the job done to go back-to-back here in the McDonald's Cup Series. But hey, he has one more try to do. He has one more try to get another win. Everybody has at least one more shot to get another win at Homestead Miami Speedway this coming Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, November 9th. It's going to be a fun one to close out the 2024 NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series season. One more time, congratulations to Daniel Adams on winning the Fastenal 500 right here at the Phoenix International Raceway. If you're watching the premiere on YouTube, keep an eye on the Discord to see the rest of your point standings. Leaving here at Phoenix and heading to Miami. That which is where we'll be this coming Saturday, and it's going to be fun. Take care, everybody. Have yourselves a great rest of your week. Well, a great rest of your night. Have a great week, depending on when you're watching this. And we'll see you all at Homestead, Miami for the season finale of the 2024 NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series. Have a good one, y'all.